Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing more Freecodecamp algorithms. We are currently in this section right here, JavaScript algorithms and data structures projects. And the one we are looking at today is called the telephone number validator. Yes, we just have two more left to go, just this one and cash register we will do next time. However, today we're gonna do this one. It's pretty tedious if you don't know something. That's something I'll explain later. By the way, guys, if you guys like coding content, please subscribe to my channel. I release these type of coding algorithm videos or projects on a daily basis, so please stay tuned. And let's go in and read what this is all about. Return true if, whoops, my solution is here actually. This is my long solution. Hopefully you guys didn't see that. Okay. Return true if the pass string looks like a valid US phone number. The user may fill out the form field any way they choose as long as it has the format of a valid US number. The following are examples of valid formats for US numbers. Refer to the test below for other variants. So here are a couple of variants that they give us. We gotta have a lot of cases to consider. For this challenge, you will be presented with a string such as this or that, which is obviously not a phone number. Your job is to validate or reject the US phone number based on any combination of the formats provided above. The area code is required. If the country code is provided, you must confirm that the country code is 1, which is actually the country code for US. Return true if the string is a valid US phone number, otherwise return false. All right, so guys, as I always usually say, but I really mean this, if you haven't tried this out, I highly encourage you guys to pause the video now and try this first before you come back to my solution. I will show a couple different solutions to solve this, but please try this on your own. It will be very good practice. All right, so I'm gonna assume that you have already solved the question. So let's get on with the solving it. Let's copy this code over, bring it to our code editor, and I am going to solve this mainly two different ways. All right, so there is one way that I think we should tackle this problem, and it deals with regular expressions, regex. So regex were really built for this type of stuff. Regex is pretty much a string pattern matching tool that is available to use in JavaScript. Not only JavaScript, but Java, a lot of other programming languages too. Almost all programming languages, as a matter of fact. But it is a super powerful tool, which is very appropriate to use here. However, I know that many beginners, especially beginners, regex may seem a little bit too cryptic for them to use, to feel comfortable to use. So it is completely understandable that it might not be the go-to choice to tackle this problem. So because of that, I will first solve this problem without just blatantly using regular expression. Now I will just do a bunch of if conditions here, and I will try to solve it like that first, and later we will go back to this problem and try to solve it in just one line using regular expressions. And I'll explain you guys the thought process behind that. But first, let's just do it the quote-unquote traditional way. So let me just tell you guys my thought process here, okay? Let me just put some comment lines here. All right, so I think when I first read this question, the first thing I thought about was this freaking country code here. Now, the reason why I thought so hard about this was, and by the way, these aren't the only variants. Whoops. There's also more variants here. Like, look at this one right here, right? There's no space between this US code and the parentheses here. So we got to account for all of this. But the reason why I'm stressing the US code, this one here, it's because I can't just, for example, let's say I'm giving a number. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's say I'm given this. I can't assume that the first number is always, if it's 1, that it's going to be the US code. Why? Because the area code itself may start out with 1. Now, I don't know the real life, I don't know, maybe in real life, the area codes could never start with 1, maybe. But this question never talks anything about that, right? So I gotta assume that maybe the area code can start with 1, meaning I can't just always assume that if we have our first digit as 1, I can't assume that it's a US code. So how do I distinguish between a string with the country code, such as this one, and a string without the country code, such as these other ones. So that's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna see if we are dealing with a country code string or a non-country code string. So the way that I'm gonna do that here is I am going to first count the number of digits that the string has. Oh, I'm gonna count the number of digits that the string has. So a number without a country code should always have, we should always have an area code, right? So 3, 6, and 10. So, whoops. Non-area codes has 10 digits, and the ones with area code, I'm not gonna write that again, has 11 digits. As a matter of fact, we could deduct something else. If the count of the number of numeric digits is not 10 or 11, we could automatically return false and say that it is not a telephone number, because we must always be dealing with either 10 digits or 11 digits with country codes. Hopefully that made sense. So now the question remains, okay, how are we going to count the number of numeric digits? So one thing we could do is I could just put like let count is 0, do a for loop, for const c of string. Don't write this, by the way, because I'm going to erase this. We could do like if c is greater or equal to 0 and c is less than or equal to 9. Then we're going to increase the count, right? And after we're done with looping through the whole string, now we have a count. However, this is one way to do it. And I showed you this because the alternative that I'm going to show you is I am actually going to use some regular expression here, because it really is so appropriate for this question. So please, if you guys hate regular expressions, just use this. Otherwise, do what I'm going to do. This is what we'll do. So I am going to, by the way, let's go to this website here. Let me refresh the page. This is regexr.com. Pretty much this is like a regular expression pattern matching. They give you all this information here. So what I'm going to test for is this. How do I count how many digits there are, right? So, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get these, grab these codes here, these examples, erase this because we're now dealing with, by the way, this is what you're testing against. And then I'm gonna write some code here. So how do we match digits? So to match digits like 0 to 9, you could either do like 0 to 9 like that, which matches all the digits individually like such. Notice the blue. Or you could just say digits like that. So /d is a digit. So that's how we match digits, okay? And by the way, what is this G? This G is global search. Retain the index of the last match, allowing iterative searches. So if we didn't have this, it will only match the first one. However, we do want that, right? We want to count more than one. We want to count all of them. So we will have that G in here. All right, so let's try that here. I will say const, and I am going to use, let's see, string.match JavaScript. It's a method in JavaScript. Let's read about it. The match method retrieves the results of a result of matching a string against a regular expression. So let's look at this example here. We have a paragraph, and the regex here we're testing for. We're trying to grab every single capital letters. Only capital letters. This G means it will match more than one. And then we do the string.match and the regex. And it gave us the capital T and the capital I. So this is what we're going to do here. So I'm going to do this. Const numbers, because it gives back an array of all the matches, right? So let's try this. Const numbers is string.match. And the regular expression, we need the G, by the way. By the way, regular expressions always should be surrounded by forward slashes, yes. And we are just interested in the digits. So we're gonna do that, okay? And just because we're not comfortable with regular expression set, let's just console log to see what this numbers becomes, yeah? So we're gonna test it against this string right here, 555, 5555. I run it and I just get a bunch of fives. How many do we have? We have 10 here, which is actually the number of fives here, so that's good. So now that we have this array, To find the count of it, we just do numbers.length, right? So let's do this. Remember what we said? We only care about whether if it has 10 or 11 digits. If it has any other types of digits, we could just return false because we're not dealing with the telephone number. So the one part that I'm interested right now is if numbers.length is triple equals to 11, do something. Else if numbers.length is equal to 10, do something else. Else, then we could just return false, right? All right, so let's think about what we're gonna do if the numbers.length is 11. By the way, for those who's not using the regex way of counting the length, you could just do the count. Remember we had the count variable before, you could just replace these with count. All right, so we're dealing with 11 digits first. That means we're dealing with, let's go back to here. We're dealing with the US code in the beginning, and the US code must be a 1, meaning if you look at this example, it returns false. Why? Because it started with 2. So we have to make sure that the first string is 1. Notice here, we do have 1, but they got this weird negative, right? Then they should also return false. So if you're dealing with 11 length, the first character has to be a 1. So if string at index 0 is not a string version of 1, return false. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, we got a couple dilemma. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna check now for all the rest of the digits inside here for the one with US code, meaning 11 length, and then just pretty much repeat the code for the length of 10? Is there somehow a way to combine these two so that once we have resolved the issue of it being a US code or not, we could just deal with the problem in the same way? And I think we can. So that's what we're gonna do. However, we're gonna refactor our code somewhat to account for this, okay? So instead of having this else return false here and like an else if here, because think about this, okay? We have this if condition. If we get inside to this 11 length part, we will never get inside this part, right? Because we only go inside one of the if branches. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do else if numbers.length is not equal to 10. So first, if it is equal to 11, come inside here. But if it's not equal to 10, then I'm just gonna return false here. So this branch here took care of this else statement. And I'm gonna get rid of the else entirely, okay? What I'm gonna do, if I found the US code, so if we're in the numbers.length at 11, meaning it has a US code, if the first number is not a US code, return false. And then I'm gonna shorten our string, cut out the US code so that we're only dealing with the non-US code parts, or like this part. Does that make sense? Like let's say there was a 1 in front of this, erase that so that we're just dealing with that, so that now we could take care of the problem as if it's the same situation whether we had the US code or not. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make string equal to the substring of 1. So substring is a method of a string, and it takes the first parameter that it takes. It's a starting index, and we could optionally pass in the ending index. However, I just want to grab everything except the area code. So what I mean by that is, if this was our example here, right here, I want just this part right here, starting from the first index going to the end. Or if this was our example, I just want this part. Hopefully that makes sense. So we cut out the US code. And we could assume that if we hit this line, we are dealing with the US code of 1 because it did not pass this test here. And then I have a slight thing that I gotta try. There might be a space after the US code, there might not be. So if there is a space, and what I'm gonna do is if string, remember now we already cut the area or the US code first, so I'm gonna do if string as 0 is equal to space now, I'm gonna cut it one more time. String.substring of 1 again. So if we are dealing with this example here, for example, we cut out the US code, so now we're left with this, but we got this big nasty space in the middle. I'm gonna cut that out again so that we're just dealing with this. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, we took care of the US code and all the trailing symbols or whatever that it comes with. So now we could take care of the 10-digit length and the 11-digit length same way. So now we only have 10 digits, right? We can assume if you got to this line of code, we are only dealing with 10 digits. So now we have to take care of this nasty parentheses. You know what I thought about doing when I first saw this question? I thought about just stripping all the hyphens, stripping all the spaces, and stripping all the parentheses in the beginning without prejudice, and then just deal with the numbers itself. However, there's a problem with doing it that way is I can't just naively strip all the parentheses because look here. Look at this example here. It has a starting or closing parentheses, but it doesn't have a starting parentheses. So this returns false. So I have to make sure that if it opens, it has to close at the exact spot. Because look at this example. They have a one opening parentheses, one closing parentheses. However, it's in a very weird position. So that's why this should also return false. So how am I going to tackle this situation? And by the way, I'm going to separate these parts of the numbers into different groups. I'm going to first consider this as one group or this as one group. And then the next set of 3 numbers will be one group. And then the next set of 4 numbers will be one group. And after I pass through each of the groups, I'm going to keep on subtracting from my string so that we are only dealing with the part that's important to us. So the first part I want to tackle is the area code, okay? But the area code could either start with the parentheses or it may not. So let's say if the string at index 0, remember we cut out all the unnecessary parts. So now if this is triple equals to an open parentheses, then we're dealing with the parentheses situation. Otherwise, we're not. So I'm going to do this. If the string is parentheses, what is the criteria? Then we know that string at index 0 has to be a parentheses. The next one, it has to be a digit. The next one has to be a digit, the next one has to be a digit, and the next one has to be a closing parentheses. That is a rule. So how do I test for that? I could do like a for loop again. Oh, if the next number is between 0 through 9, and this is between 0 through 9, all that stuff. But again, I'm going to use regular expression here. So please, you could do it the other way if you hate regular expressions, but it just makes it so much nicer, right? So let's just try regular expression. I'm going to use this playground to make sure, and my goal is to get this part right here, get these parentheses. So how can I do that? So parentheses is a reserved character. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna escape the parentheses so that I could grab the actual parentheses. Again, I'm doing that because parentheses are reserved in regular expression, so you gotta escape it. And then to get a digit, we do this, this, this. DDD for the 3 digits. We have 3 digits and we must have a closing parentheses. I'm escaping that again because it's a reserved character. Notice it grabbed both of these. So that's what we want. So this is the regular expression we want. So I'm going to do this. Let's just, okay, if the string starts with a parentheses, we want to do stuff here, right? So we have to test how many characters is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna grab the substring of our string, get the first 5 characters, and test that against this regular expression. So how I'm going to do that is if we're gonna use a regular expression test, copy just this part here and here. You could put the G if you want, or you don't need it because we're just gonna grab get the substring here. So we're not looking for it globally. So I'm not gonna have the G here. And then I'm gonna do string dot subs. Oh, what am I doing? Test. And then what I'm gonna test that with is string dot substring starting from the 0th index. And I just want the 5 characters, right? So I just want 5 characters like so. We want to get to index 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and cut out 5. So that's what this does. We're testing the first 5 characters to see if it is this. However, if it's not this, what do we want to do? I'm putting the negation sign in the beginning. If it's not this, then we're going to return false because it didn't follow the correct formatting. Okay? Now, if we didn't return false in this direction, then we can safely assume And again, we know that we start with the opening parentheses. Then we can safely assume that the area code has been taken care of. So let's cut out from the string the area code section, which is from which the non-area code section then starts from index 5. So it's either this part right here or this part right here. We're cutting out the area code section with the parentheses. So we give the starting index of 5, and we don't give the second parameter because we're just telling it to get everything to the end. And now, because of these two situations where one has a space, one doesn't, we might be dealing with a beginning space character here, right? So let's cut that out too if that is okay. So if string at index 0 now is equal to a space, let's cut that out too. String is equal to string substring at 1. So we want to cut out the first character, okay? Now let's put an else here. Look at where this else is to. This else is to this if. If we were dealing with the opening parentheses as a first character, we do all this stuff to account for our area code. Else, we gotta account for our area code without the parentheses. This way, right here, right? So how do we do that? It's gonna be very similar to this. If I'm gonna use regular expression again, not regular expression slashes. We don't care about parentheses anymore, so all we care about is 3 digits, like that. Dot test string substring. However, be very careful here. Don't just blindly copy and paste your code. We want to start from the 0th index, but we only want to grab the first 3 characters, right? In this situation. So let's just go from 0 to 3. Again, before we went from 0 to 5 because we had to capture the parentheses as well. But here we're not dealing with parentheses. So we're just going to do that. Return false. So if we don't have 3 digits in the beginning, return false. And then cut out the string like what we did here. Except 3 this time. We're starting for the 3rd index. And what can we do? So we cut this part out. Now we could either be dealing with a hyphen, a space, or just straight up numbers, right? So let's check this out. If the next index, string at index 0 now, the first character now, is equal to a hyphen, or string at index 0 is equal to a space bar, like so, then let's cut that out too. String is equal to string substring at 1. We just cut out the first one. Okay, so we're just constantly cutting away the parts that we have tested, okay? So now we should be in both situations be dealing with just the numeric, the next section, the first 3 numbers, the non-area code numbers, okay? And now let's get out of the else condition. So remember, if we had a parentheses, we took care of that. If we didn't have a parentheses, we took care of the area code. So we've taken care of the area codes and all the trailing spaces or hyphens or whatever. Okay, so now let's test the next 3 set of numbers, and they have to be numbers. So it's actually going to be the same thing as this. If the next first 3 strings are not a digit, then we want to return false. Otherwise, we are dealing with digits, so far so good. So let's cut out the 3 numbers again, substring 3 like so. And then we might again be dealing with a space, no space, or hyphen. So let's say if the next part, copy that. If the next first index is 0th index is a hyphen or a string, cut it out again. Okay. Now we're dealing with the last 4 numbers. So let's grab this. And add an extra digit here. So we're just testing the last 4 numbers, right? And we want to go from 0 to 4 this time. We want to grab 4 numbers. And if they're not all 4 digits, then return false. Now you could either cut it out more, but because we know we're dealing with, there's not going to be anything else here. No other length. Why? No other. Actually, that is not true. Ooh, I didn't account for that in the beginning. Okay, never mind. So let's do this. String is equal to string.substring at 4. So now we cut out the last part. But what if our number was like this? It was all the perfectly fine numbers in the beginning, and then we just had this random string at the end, right? So if we were dealing with the proper number, after we cut out this part, our string should be empty. So we will say if the string is not empty, we could test that by not string.length, meaning string, or to be more clear in this, we could say if string.length is still greater than 0, meaning there are some characters left, then we could return false. Because we got some nasty trailing stuff going on after. Otherwise, otherwise return true. All right, so hopefully you guys were able to stick with me this whole time. Let's see what the console log of this is. We get true. So that's good. Now that only takes care of one case, right? So let's get this behemoth of a function, come back to our Freecodecamp and run the test here. And we passed. I was actually kind of scared. All right, so that's good. We passed. All right, now let me just show you guys a much easier way. And hopefully, guys, if you guys aren't comfortable with regular expressions, this will show you that you should probably get comfortable with regular expressions. I'm gonna go to this website again here, and I'm gonna test against these codes here. All right, guys. When I say everyone should be comfortable with regular expression, I'm not expecting you guys to memorize all of these. You guys don't need to memorize this. Just go through a course on regular expression once. Just understand the basic idea. Just know enough so that you could know how to Google it whenever you need to use it. That's the state that I'm in right now, to be very honest. And it served me perfectly fine. So let's figure out the type of regular expression we need to make, okay? So, and by the way, those regular expression experts, you guys might see me typing this and be like, oh, you're missing something. Trust me, I'll get to it later. For now, I'm just gonna approach this like how someone who knows a little bit of regular expression knows to approach it, but they're not actual pros yet, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so we gotta first optionally see if we have a US code in the beginning, right? So how do we do that? We do 1, it has to be 1, right? No other digits, so we can't use the digit part, but we have to be a 1, but that's optional. So we put a question mark after it. Look here, it says quantifier, match 0 and 1, between 0 and 1 of the preceding token. So we're saying here, there could either be a no 1 or 1 1. And then I'm gonna put a space. There could optionally be a space bar, or there may not be, right? So I'm gonna do space bar, question mark. There may optionally be a space character here. Now we have two situations. We may be dealing with this type of situation here where we have parentheses or where we have non-parentheses. I first thought about, when I was doing this, I first thought about doing it like this. Oh, by the way, we gotta escape our parentheses characters. I thought about doing it like this. Optionally tackle the parentheses. But I can't actually do it like this, because if we have a parentheses here, then we must have a parentheses, closing parentheses at the end. So this is not sufficient. So we gotta do what's called a capturing group. Let me erase that part. We gotta have two separate groups. I'm gonna put parentheses here without parentheses to show regex that we're gonna make capturing groups here. All right, so we could say we're either dealing with a parentheses. I'm escaping it to tell regex that I actually want the parentheses, and then a digit, and then escaping or closing parentheses, or I'm dealing with 3 digits like that. So we are saying this either capture a situation where we have parentheses, 3 digits, and a closing parentheses, or just 3 digits. That's what this is saying. And right after, I could either have no space, a hyphen, or a space. So how do we tell regex that? We could say, we could either, I'm gonna make another capturing group. I'm gonna say we could either have a space or hyphen, and this is optional, by the way. So I'm gonna put a parentheses after that capturing group, closing parentheses, and then we're dealing with 3 more digits, And then we have another capturing group where it could either be a space or a hyphen, which is optional, and then digit, 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 digit. All right. So notice it grabbed every single situation here. So we have accounted for all of these situations here. That's why this website is so useful. You just paste a bunch of testing criteria here and you try it. Now, again, this is actually not complete, but I'll show you guys why later. Let's grab this. Remember that we use this global search, right? Although we don't need that in our code. So actually, let me reset this to go back to the beginning. And I grab this, I'll put this over here. Let's try, where was I? Okay, let's grab this now. I'm gonna just do this. Return regular expression, 2 forward dashes, put all this nasty thing of a thing here. We could use G, but it's not necessary because our string that we're dealing with is not like a bunch of different phone numbers. It just has one phone number. So let's just do .test string. We're gonna return this. This will be true if it satisfies this, otherwise it will be false. All right, so by the way, regular expression, it's, they call it like easy to write, hard to read. Once you write it, like you can't really read it anymore, right? How are you supposed to read that? So just trust that you wrote it right the first time. I'm gonna run the tests and look what happens. We don't get that beautiful, hey, you pass test. It does seem like we passed a lot of these tests, but we scroll down, we failed some of them. For example, this one. So I'm gonna grab this one, including the parentheses, come back to our regex website, paste it here and see what happened. So it didn't capture the parentheses here. Okay, it just skipped the parentheses and checked the numbers in between and be like, oh, that's good. So he passed the test. So how do we let regular expression know that we must start with this character? The way that you do that is just you put a caret in the beginning, and we also put let's see, at the very end, we don't want any trailing stuff going on. We don't want to capture those. We want to make sure it ends with a digit, so we just put a $sign, which denotes, let me show you guys here, beginning matches the beginning of a string, caret matches the beginning. Look at this, or the beginning of a line, if the multi-line flag M is enabled. Notice nothing is being captured, so if you want other things to be captured, you could use multi-line like this. And this $sign is saying matches the end of the string or the end of the line, the multi-line flag M is enabled. Okay, so without the M, it will only try to grab it from the beginning. Otherwise, it just grabs it anywhere where this is satisfied. However, we don't need the G and M again because the function would not take in not a paragraph of phone numbers, but just one. However, let's grab this now and replace the regular expression. Make sure you do it inside the forward slashes like so. Run the tests. And we pass. So guys, we could, and guys, if you guys are feeling cocky, you could just make this into a 1-9 function. Although technically it's not really going to be a 1-9 because my font is so big. Make a ES6 arrow notation like so. And why did I put an equal sign here? Constant font check is equal to, we don't need to return. So get rid of all that stuff. Just leave it like that. It's 1-9. Let's see if Freecodecamp likes this one. And we somehow fail again. Now, why are we failing? It is because, oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's because I didn't get the caret and the $sign. So make sure you put the caret here and the $sign. Like so. Run the tests and we pass. All right, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. And I really hope, guys, if you guys are not comfortable with, if you guys are scared of regular expressions still, man, it's so important in coding in real life. So I highly encourage you guys to get through it. By the way, I didn't personally go through this course, but if you look at the JavaScript section in Freecodecamp, there is a whole section that deals with regular expressions. So again, if you're not comfortable with regex, I highly encourage you guys to go through this. It is so important in coding, in my opinion. So that was telephone number validator. The next time we meet, we will do the last one in this section that is called cash register. So guys, if you like my content, please click like and leave some comments below. And if you don't like something about it, please let me know too. Hit that dislike button and subscribe to my content for more coding stuff like this. I release algorithm videos, I release React tutorial videos, TypeScript tutorial videos, anything related to coding, you'll find it here. So guys, have a good one. Try this cash register out on your own, and I will see you guys next time.